What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid, coming at you with another Destiny video. Today we're going to walk you through the Challenge of Elders, the Week 2 Challenge of Elders with grenade kills and catapult. We're going to show you how to beat all of the bosses efficiently and extremely quickly. So if you enjoy this video, go ahead and smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. So this run right here is the first run that I did this week at all on the Challenge of Elders. So I was learning everything as I go. And as you can see as the video goes on, this doesn't take that long. For learning all three of these battles as they go, with two of them being brand new, this is pretty quick. This is a pretty quick strategy. So as you know by now, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, you get extra points for grenade kills, and you also have catapult on. So Voidwalker is going to be your best friend among all best friends that you could potentially ever have. If you haven't checked out my video on the Voidwalker and his new grenade abilities, then please do so, because it's going to help you out. Voidwalker is pretty much what makes this go as far as a quick killing strategy. Now, you don't absolutely need to have a Voidwalker to beat this Challenge of Elders. It is absolutely not necessary. In fact, I soloed it as a Titan last night, just to see if I could. It took a little bit longer. I didn't get a very high score at all. But if you want to get a high score, you're in a group of 3, have one be the Voidwalker. So as far as the ability of what we're doing right here, we're basically just having me as the ad killer. All I'm focusing on is killing ads with my grenades. As many ads as I can, all I'm focusing on is throwing out my grenades, killing all the ads. Pooch and Devil, their sole responsibility is to shoot the boss. Now granted, if they've got something like that where they've got a witch in their face, they can go ahead and shoot them. There's nothing saying that they can't shoot anything. But the more damage that you're putting out on the boss with your other two teammates, the quicker that this is going to go down. So right now, all I'm doing is just chucking out grenades everywhere, and Pooch and Devil are just shooting at Psylock from this nice safe area. And I say safe as we have a person dead, but it is safe. It's as safe as you can get. You get the most amount of shots off at Psylock's head with the least amount of trouble from back over here. Whenever all the ads are taken down, I'm focusing in some shots on the boss. Now that the ads are going to come back in, it's back to throwing grenades. Constant grenade spam with this Voidwalker is pretty much what makes things go. The other stuff that we have on is we made sure that we had one Defender Titan with Weapons of Light. Now, that obviously is going to add to your DPS on the boss immensely, but in this Psylock battle, because we didn't exactly charge up and wait before running in, it's not like we had a super to get started off, so we don't actually use our Weapons of Light bubble in this match. But you'll see that if we had used it, it would even take the time off the Psylock battle down significantly. So just something else to keep in mind. Again, as you pretty much go through the Challenge of Elders over and over again, you're going to get really familiar with this battle, you're going to get really familiar with the next two battles as well, and your time is going to go down. I would say that roughly this is around a 12-minute run, and for our first time doing it for the week, the first time ever doing a couple of those battles, I'd say that is pretty significant, especially since the Cabal battle, the one that's coming up next, was a little bit tricky, and I definitely wasn't exactly sure as to what the mechanics were at first, but you'll see that in just a little bit. As we're just out here, again, it's Psylock shooting off those flame electric puddles, and those things hurt. If you stand them, it stinks, and that's why this area over here to the left of the arena is so nice, because most of the time, his puddles end up landing on that ridge, and you're behind the ridge, and you're safe, and you're ready to go. Of course, whenever these enemies come out, the first threat is always those witches. They are always a pain in the butt. They're the only ones that have shields as well. The other enemies are going to fall easily to your scatter grenades. Now, you could of course have a second Voidwalker, but if you're doing that, you're basically taking your attention off of doing two people doing DPS and focusing double the attention on the ads, and you really don't need that. With a Voidwalker that has the scatter grenades and nothing manacles, the ads fall down so easily. Now here we are on the second boss fight, and he's brand new. He's brand new, and he has some new mechanics that are a little bit of a pain in the butt. Basically, this is our shield-changing Cabal from the first Prison of Elders, but he's got some new tricks. And basically what that is a few different Scions that are running around the arena with 3 different flavor shields. We've got a Solar one, an Arc one, and a Void one. Whenever Volus Arun, whenever he says that he's got a specific shield, you have to find that flare, and you have to kill them. If you kill him, then you're able to actually do out the damage to the boss, but you're not able to do anything before then. So right now, he's got an arc shield. So somewhere in this arena is a Scion Flare that has an arc shield, and we need to be able to take him down. Of course, what this means is that you and your teammates are going to need to have different elemental damage in order to take down the shield of the boss, because otherwise he's not going to take any damage. Now basically what I found out is one good shot to one of these flares with a shield with the correct element is going to pretty much make him able to take damage from any of your other weapons. It seems like it was only one good shot. At this stage of the game, I didn't exactly know how these flares were working out. I thought we might be able to take them all down right away and then just melt through the boss. But unfortunately that wasn't the case. As you can see, I'm throwing out my void grenades on the void guy and doing no damage because it's just not time. Right now, after you take down the first Scion, you kill him, and it says that the boss is able to be damaged. You just need to focus all your attention on shooting the boss. Now he regains his shield, and he has a solar shield. So somewhere in this arena, again, is the solar enemy. They're not too tricky to kill. There is a problem, though, whenever they come back to this area that we're standing in. Whenever they come back to this area, because you can only kill one at a time, sometimes it is a mess. What you need to do right then is you need to just cut your losses and make a loop around the arena. You need to make a loop around the arena and just get safe. Now I found whenever I was doing this solo that whenever I would run around the arena to get safe, kind of get a little breath, the Scions with the shields would come back to this exact spot that we're in right now. So this seems to be like a little bit of a staging area where they'll come around to. So if you happen to be missing them, you make a loop around the arena, chances are the ones that you need are going to be standing right back here. And I do like this particular spot because you've got that little bit of a barricade in front of you, and you can stand in front of it, and you can just even pull out a shotgun and shoot at the boss right in his head with the shotgun whenever it's a damage dealing phase. You can put out some nice damage that way, and you're completely safe. So that's always a good thing. Anytime that you can have a barrier between you and an enemy and be safe and deal out the damage is a pretty good thing. So now we're back again to searching for an enemy. We're looking for the Void one, and Void is right up my alley. I've got scatter grenades, they're going to deal the damage. Right now, he's basically taken enough Void damage where we can actually shoot him with our primary weapons or with any other element and not have an issue. This is a really good spot right now because all of the adds and enemies are standing right in front of us. I can just constantly chuck out these scatter grenades right here. I'm dealing out damage to the Scion Flare, I'm killing the adds, I'm getting points for the team. All the good things are working in our favor right here. It's just jump, throw grenade, jump, throw grenade. Volus Arun is available to be damaged again. All of the flares are down. So now you no longer have to worry about searching off for any other flares to take down his shield. He's ready to go. He can be damaged from here on out through the rest of the battle. So our two damage dealers can now just pump in the bullets into the boss and be fine, and I'll just continue to chuck grenades just like we normally would, just to bump up the score a little bit. I did typically find that this was the lowest scoring of all the battles. Actually, that's not true. The Psylock battle was really low scoring, but this, because of the way that this fight ends up going, this one seemed a little bit tricky to gain a lot of points in the specific time that you needed to go through and do it. So don't worry too much if your score feels a little bit low here. You can definitely and easily make up the points in the last battle. For the remainder of this battle, really nothing has changed. I'm still focusing on the ads solely, and Devil and Pooch are just putting out the damage to the boss. That Nova Bomb didn't happen. That Nova Bomb didn't hit anybody, so it didn't happen. I think that's pretty much the way things go in video games. If you don't kill anybody with something, it didn't actually happen. The boss is extremely low right now, just a few more hits and he's going to go down. Trying to just get a few more points on those Scions, and it is over. So this was definitely the most tricky of all the bosses, for sure, this week. If you're doing it solo, it's going to be a little bit tricky. That was definitely the one that gave me the most amount of trouble. Here's our final battle against another new boss, and he looks pretty sweet. Remember whenever we had those paper mache masks for the Halloween event? It would be really cool to have one of him, because I think he is a pretty cool looking boss. And I just want to show that right here in between these two areas, if you stand there, you can actually deal out damage to the boss without getting hit by his purple blast. Of course, you're going to take damage from the other enemies and his ground area of effect blast if he throws it out, but if he's not doing that, you can stand behind there and shoot him with immunity. So again, this is the first time going through this boss as well, so just kind of learning where all the adds end up spawning in. you can make up a ton of ground on points in this arena because there are so many taken ads that come in, and with your scatter grenades, you're going to kill so many of them all the time with each grenade that you chuck out. As far as this particular challenge of elders, I'm really kind of conflicted as to if it's easier or tougher than the one last week. In a group of 3 with this particular strategy, it feels like you can actually farm this challenge of elders much quicker. The Voidwalker is just uncontested in being able to own this particular challenge of elders with this modifier set. But if you're doing it solo, last week felt a lot easier to do solo than this week. This week was significantly more challenging, mainly because of that second boss fight. That second boss fight is really tricky because you need to be able to kill and do damage to the different silent flares, which means you need to be swapping weapons. Chances are you're going to need to kind of break away from that back area that we were staying to search out and find one. If 2 of them come back there who are immune, or even one of them comes back there that's immune, they're going to wreck your entire day there. You're going to have to run around the arena. It's going to take a little while. Doing it solo this week was definitely more challenging than last week for sure, but in a group, I find that this strategy is really easy. In fact, we could have even finished this battle quicker, but we wanted to get our 30,000 points for the first bounty, and we just ended up slowing it down just a little bit. Pooj was absolutely wrecking this boss with the sleeper simulant. With the sleeper simulant and some weapons of light, you're going to deal tons of damage. Same thing if you've got a sniper rifle and you're putting out the shots there. This boss goes down really quickly. He's really not that difficult. Honestly, the second boss is definitely the most difficult of all the bosses this week, and I think that's kind of the same as last week. Last week, Psylock was pretty much the most difficult, and he was the second boss. You can see I'm just kind of checking the health of the boss just to see where he's at, because I'm looking at the score and I'm like, you know what, we're a little bit shy of 30,000 points. We want to get that first sigil bounty done and taken care of in our run. So we just slowed it down a little bit. Pooj stopped shooting him with the sleeper simulant. I'm just out there chucking out some grenades. I was like, you know what, if you've got some grenades, go ahead and throw them out there on the enemies that are going around, and then go ahead and shoot back at the boss. We did a little bit of tethering, and now I would say we're in pretty good position because the boss is still going to give you over 1,000 points. So whenever you get around to this side, you're fine to go. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead. You can see a sleeper simulant shots going out again. Again, Pooj was just saving them, and there goes the boss. He falls down. Challenge of Elders complete, like I said, for our first time going through it with this strategy, with this particular Challenge of Elders period. We did it in around 12 minutes. The more you go through this, the more you perfect your strategy, the easier it's going to be. With 3 people, this Challenge of Elders is a very, very farmable. And that's what happens whenever you've got your Voidwalker taking care of all the ads. 124 kills, and everybody else was doing their job in focusing soul damage out on the bosses. Anyway, guys and gals, that is the Challenge of Elders this week. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, the Challenge of Elders, and I'll see you around in Destiny. Grenade spam. Bye-bye.